Good afternoon, everybody. I think it's time for the next presentation. Welcome, my name is Koen van Bakel. I'm a solution architect within Red Hat, specializing on cloud, really. I can't see you at all, by the way. There's a lot of light on me, but not on you. I would like to see you guys. So I step forward because I have one question for you, or even maybe some more, but let's try to get a little bit interaction into this one. Who of you guys are using OpenStack right now? And how many of you are using it in production? All right. Who are you? Who of you is using virtualization? VMware? All right, then I've got the picture. So most of the people are using virtualization today and are looking into OpenStack. And as we see each other right now, this day here, the beautiful day in Spant in Bussum, you see we're almost at 400 people attending just because we're interested into OpenStack. Red Hat is a leader in OpenStack, and this is a little bit marketing. Normally, I'm not used to do marketing, so I go more and more technical. But we're a leader in open source, leader in OpenStack, and how is that possible? Everybody knows Red Hat, everybody knows the logo, but what is Red Hat really? Red Hat is famous about its Linux effort that we took in the 90s, with the real driver that we had was to make Linux enterprise ready, and it more broadened in production in enterprises. And that really took off. We're now the leader in Linux, really. But we're changing. And if you see the timeline underneath here, you see that we started off in 1993, and we did lots and lots of acquisitions also of proprietary products. So you see acquisitions for example, Makara. We see CloudForms and open CloudForms that we acquired from ManageIQ. That's something I'll go into later on. But you see also acquisitions in the space of OpenStack. And the latest one is, for example, Inktank with Ceph. You see us moving towards not only Linux, but also to cloud. And we initialized that really in 2008 by acquiring, for example, Qumranet, which turned out to become REV, our virtualization platform, an alternative to ESX. What you have to keep in mind is that we have only one mission statement. And if you look at the Chambers of Commerce, how we are enrolled there, you see this statement. We want to be a catalyst in open source, create communities, drive innovation, get things done, get things adopted, get it enterprise ready. And all the acquisitions that we did the last couple of years that were proprietary products, as stated earlier, but it were proprietary products. They're no longer. So it's now open sourced. And the latest addition is, for example, CloudForms. We bought ManageIQ, which gave us a cloud management platform. And we open sourced it, and we open sourced it this year and gave it back to a community called ManageIQ. So get the name rolling again, right? So this is really our statement and our mission. We're open all along. And the next thing is cloud, and cloud should be open. And I'll give you several reasons why it should be open also. But it's in our DNA, right? So how do you work in open source? Now, we see lots and lots of communities coming up. And one of those communities is, for example, OpenStack.org. And we're really focusing on this one. OpenStack.org, what we did with Linux in the 90s, we now want to do again with OpenStack. So we really want to make this one big. It's strategic for our company. But the OpenStack community project will participate in that, and that's not taking the software and harden it and make it enterprise ready and looking after a certification for hardware, etc. No, it's really participating. There are employees of Red Hat not coming to the office in Amsterdam or in Antwerp or in Brussels. They're really in the community. They're working over there. and they are getting paid by Red Hat, right? So this is the way how we work. We participate in the projects, and we integrate those projects further and further. So we have a broad look at what's going on in the open source communities, and we pick those things that we see are necessary in enterprise customer environments. And when we integrate those products and we harden that and we get the bugs out and we provide patches and we commit to the community, we get adoption in the community and we get innovation in the community. But then again, the enterprise customers are also benefiting from that because we can provide them an SLA, a service level agreement. And that's what really Red Hat does. We're a logo, we're people, like me, for example, and we provide an SLA to enterprise customers. We don't have intellectual property. We might have by getting an acquisition in, but we will not keep that. We'll provide it back to a community. So we integrate and stabilize and give that SLA. And if you look at the customer or the portfolio of Red Hat, you see lots and lots of products back. Enterprise Linux, of course. You see storage. Ceph is going to be integrated with cluster, so Red Hat storage. You see satellite for provisioning orchestration, OpenStack, cloud forms. In the middleware, we can provide you a complete software-defined stack. We're not into hardware. We're working with parties like Cisco, Intel, AMD, Fujitsu, IBM, etc. And the list is long, long, long. I don't have time. I have only 25 minutes. So there are about 3,000 ISVs and OEM parties we're working with to certify our software back and forth with. So this is really what we do. So now, OpenStack, and you've seen this picture, of course, this morning already. But what is the Red Hat contribution or the timeline? How are we involved? Now, the thing is, OpenStack is fairly new. We celebrated this morning 4 years of OpenStack. But we started really in 2010. And Red Hat was already involved in there because of several sub-projects, etc. We were in there. But the thing is, we did a support statement for OpenStack in 2012. So 2 years after that, before we really were involved in all of it. Why did we do that? Because we have enterprise customers. And that's the thing. OpenStack at that time went mature, or was feasible for enterprises to use, to get implementations done, or to do some tire kicking at least. Really, what is OpenStack, how it works, what can we benefit from it, etc. And now we're several releases further. We're working on the Juno release, which is coming out in October. Icehouse is the current release. The Kilo release is coming up after that. That's early next year. So we're involved there and we're working on it, and it's strategic for us to be there. But it's all software defined. It's all software, software, software. No hardware tie-in or whatsoever. Contribution, yeah, okay, this is like a little bit of benchmark. Who is the best in OpenStack? That's marketing, I don't do that. So the thing is, why is OpenStack really important to us? And that's about our vision. We see open hybrid cloud, and that's a term that we use for several years right now. And yeah, everybody has a feeling about what cloud is and what it could do for you. But why open hybrid cloud? Now, open, it's clear, right? Red Hat is open source, it's open. You need no hooks to, no vendor lock-in, etc. You want freedom of choice. But hybrid, what do we mean by that? I asked you a couple of questions just now when I started. You're all using hardware. You have an IT department. You're using virtualization. You have physical servers, etc. And we need it, and it is there. It's legacy. We really need it. Because I haven't heard it this morning, but what's really your business? Your business is the business process that you need to run, and IT facilitates that, and it's the applications. That's your core. I was a little bit surprised that I didn't hear that this morning, because it's all about that one. That's your core business. And you need to facilitate those business processes and applications to run your business smoothly and to get things done and to get things growing and to get better and to innovate. So we have legacy, we have an existing environment, and that's what I call really virtualization of physical systems. And you need to go to cloud. Why do I say you need to go to cloud? You are here, you're all convinced, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But then again, if you look at statements from IDC, Gartner, Forrester, etc., they're all saying 2015, 2016, really guys, you need to look at going to at least some kind of private cloud or introduce some technology in that kind that hooks up to your existing environment. So that's why I say it's hybrid. You have traditional and you have cloud. And most of the vendors are talking about OpenStack, like, okay, we'll introduce a new silo, we'll create a greenfield, and you introduce the technology over there and look at your applications, what can really fit into it straight away. Red Hat is not saying that. Red Hat is saying hybrid cloud. We're saying evolution, not revolution. We're saying baby steps. We're saying go from your existing environment, optimize that, standardize on that one, make it standard operating environments, etc. Then introduce, for example, a cloud management platform, but at least it should be open. So that's why we also have ManageIQ right now, it's open. And then bring in, bit by bit, the technology when you're ready for it. And the last statement that Red Hat does is, okay, we see OpenStack as one of the best choices you have to go to cloud. Right? So this is a picture really stating it. We have physical systems, we have them, and we can't get rid of them. We have applications that are really bolted towards the physical systems environment, and it will stay. You can't get rid of it, not in a few months or a year or maybe 2 years. It depends, of course, on what business you have. What you can do to optimize your environment is also introduce virtualization, and that's the next step. And the thing is, yeah, VMware, Red Hat, and several others, Microsoft, are giving you options for virtualization. And it's your choice what you want to have and what you want to do with it. What virtualization gives you really is hardware independence. It makes the hardware that you have transparent to your, and then again, the business processes and applications, which is your core business. So that's good. But what if you have a need for extra capacity? So you need, for example, more hypervisors. You need more virtualization because your business is growing, you're successful, right? Yeah, then you have to choose another hypervisor. But can you choose, really? If you standardized on Xen, for example, and you need to add extra capacity, is it feasible then to get a choice in now for, okay, I'll introduce an extra VMware stack or a Red Hat stack or a whatever? I don't think so, because your processes and your applications need to move between those for high availability functionality, etc. Now this is where OpenStack comes in, and this is why we find OpenStack that important. OpenStack, I try to picture it, there's no, I have to point it out. I can point it out here, but you can't see that. If you go to Open Hybrid Cloud, what you'll see on top is that colory thing. And I try to present OpenStack that way. It's on top of a hypervisor. OpenStack doesn't provide a hypervisor. OpenStack is using it. And you have the freedom of choice to choose which hypervisor you want. You can choose for VMware. You can choose for RAV, etc. Yeah, you have a question?
I have a question. You put a lot of focus on, say, becoming more independent of technology.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't the big difference between the traditional way of compute consumption and cloud consumption is that the flexibility of compute consumption is at the focus of cloud instead of the independence of technology?
Yeah, you're right. Did everybody hear? Question is, I'm talking about getting more independent of hardware, underneath lying hardware, but or hypervisors. But Sir is saying, isn't cloud about flexibility?
It's a new consumption model.
Yeah, new consumption model. It's also, yeah. But the thing is, if you get agnostic from underlying technology like hardware, you get more freedom of choice. You can also say, that gives me more flexibility, right? So that's one step. The other thing is the resourcing model, the way cloud works, that you can, for example, ask for CPU, memory, and disk resources and pay as you go, really, is also a concept of cloud. But you could do that with virtualization, but it's a natural for OpenStack. It's a natural implementation in OpenStack. How did OpenStack come to light, really? OpenStack came to light because we all fell in love with how Amazon works. The way the model, the way you can get resources, throw them away if you want. What OpenStack is, in my opinion at least, is really a mimic of what AWS or Amazon did and bring it on premise so that you can have more control about hardware, quality of service, etc., disk I/O, throughput, that kind of stuff that you really miss in Amazon. So what we...
Actually, that is my point. It's Amazon surprised the rest of the IT industry
Yeah.
with a new consumption model.
Yeah.
And
So
of course, it's a proprietary consumption model, and OpenStack is the counterattack on that. But they surprised us.
yeah, and the thing is, what OpenStack does is it gives you that functionality, but then on-premise, right? Or off-premise, or in public cloud. And that's also what is here in the open hybrid cloud picture. You see alongside the hardware, you see OpenStack cloud, really. What you can do in open hybrid cloud, introducing OpenStack in your environment, is that your business processes and applications are really transparent to, or abstracted from underlying technology. It's a given, you need it, but it's abstracted from it, and it gives you freedom of choice to move your workloads from on-premise to public or the other way around. So if you look at OpenStack, and that's why I put it on top of the hypervisors, you see, you could also say it's middleware. What the thing is on top of those boxes, colored boxes, are your applications and your business processes really running, right? So the top layer of OpenStack is, for an application, also a given. It's there, it can use it, it can and talk to it. And if things change technology-wise in the hypervisors or even in hardware, it's transparent to your business applications and processes, so continuously you can use your applications. And that's also, I think, a thing for cloud. Cloud should give you all the flexibility, high availability functionality that is there. That's the higher thing in cloud. And OpenStack is really an extra abstraction layer, which gives you, in this picture, really freedom of choice also for hypervisors. Red Hat supports OpenStack. Red Hat supports RHEL in VMware. We're not saying VMware is not good. It's a choice you can make. Yeah? And you can change whenever you want, if you want to. So this is why OpenStack is really important to us. If you then look at, and Alessandro, you know that Italian guy really, this morning, he showed you this picture in 3 seconds flat. How are we involved? We have OpenStack.org. That's the community. That's not ours. That's where we participate in. Then we have RDO. That is really a compiled version of the OpenStack.org bleeding edge bits code. And tested is way too much if I say that. It runs compiled, ease of use, on CentOS, Fedora, or RHEL, so a Red Hat distribution really, right? So normally you only get an open source or OpenStack.org, you only get the source code, and if you want to play around with it, you have to compile it yourselves. That takes time. RDO gives you the opportunity to test OpenStack bleeding edge codes as soon as it is available, right? And you can freely download that. If you go to openstack.redhat.com, you can download it for free and give it a try. If you then later on say, okay, right, this is good stuff. I want an SLA on this, so I want support and knowledge-based functionality, I want education, I want etc. Then you go to RHEL OSP or Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack platform. And what we give you now is based on the Havana release, or the Icehouse release, we give you 3 years of support. One of the questions I asked is, who is running OpenStack in production right now? And there were a couple of hands over here. I think a couple of 4 or 5, something like that. Why aren't there any more? Aren't you a little bit surprised? Should be 200 of the 400, right? Why is that? I think it's about lifecycle management. 3 years lifecycle management support that we give you now is enough for an enterprise to say, okay, this is a feasible option now. I can do this. I can now work with OpenStack if I want to. But if you look 6 months back or a year back, there was almost nobody who supported OpenStack. And if they supported it, they gave you a life cycle of a year, a support statement for a year. For an enterprise company, that's not enough. That doesn't fit in their natural life cycle management environment. So now we are at the stage for 3 years. In the next release, we'll up this towards a longer life cycle. And this is what Red Hat really needs to do. OpenStack is released every 6 months. And that's also a thing that stopped really the adoption in production. Why am I saying this? Because every 6 months a new board is elected, and when the board is elected, that board is deciding what is going to be available in the next release. And then we see, okay, can we support this or not? This is now changing really. The cadence, open sourcing OSP, and getting support towards it is easier and easier and easier. So we'll give you more and more support. But for now it's 3 years, and that's really enough. The other thing is, you all are using, or okay, at least some of you answered, you have a brownfield, right? You all have a brownfield. There is legacy. You do IT right now. The thing is, how do I get to cloud? How do I get to OpenStack? How big is that step? Do I need to create a separate silo, a greenfield, and then, yeah, let's see what we do with the brownfield, where your business really is? Or do we have an approach towards that? The answer is we have an approach. And we do that, and I condensed it in one slide. But let's, for example, say, okay, you're using VMware as a virtualization product. Now, how do I get a VM running in VMware or on a physical system? How do I get that to cloud? Now, the one thing that you can do is introduce another step for virtualization. Introduce new cloud technology underneath and activate that, try it out, let's see if it works for you, and then do it by baby steps, make it an evolution. So what you can do is introduce, for example, CloudForms or ManageIQ, the open source bits, put it on top of VMware, and we have several customers in the Netherlands now doing that, also in production, and introduce the first building block, for example, for virtualization on OpenStack, namely KVM, in your environment. So try a Linux-based hypervisor based on KVM, for example, Rev or Overt. Introduce that in your environment, hook it also up to the cloud management platform, and then you have a single pane of glass. You're introducing new technology, you're benefiting straight away, and you're working towards clouds. First step. Focus on standard operating environments. Don't go with a VM sprawl. Create new environments. Go to recipe-based creation of new VMs, for example. So you can do things like satellite or use CloudForms basic functionality to create new templates and do the rollout to both virtualization products, VMware, Rev. The CloudForms does also Hyper-V, we do Amazon, so also public cloud, and we could do OpenStack. So we have a single pane of glass management platform for all of them, and we're using that. We're talking to that environments with APIs, so it's agentless. We're not introducing new code in your existing environment. It's non-disruptive. We're talking to APIs, so it's all supported. Then you go and create a OpenStack platform. So that's really in the middle, the cloud-enabled applications. And if I talk to customers and speak with them and ask them, right, so what applications do you think can land in OpenStack? What is the low-hanging fruit? I heard that term this morning. Thing is, 60–70% of all the VMs or applications that are running in an IT environment at a customer is not really production. You can have complete discussions about this, but it's testing, it's QA, it's development, etc. But it's not the core business. It helps the core business, but it's not the core business. If it goes down, nobody worries. Yeah? It's a hassle, but nobody worries. The thing is, you can use OpenStack as a virtualization platform. So 60–70% of the load that a customer is using right now, you can drop it in OpenStack straight away. This way, you can give your virtualization environment, running your traditional core business, some more headroom, some space. So you give flexibility. And you have a single management platform, so you can go where you want. That's the way to go. REV, Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, the KVM hypervisor of Linux, is really underneath OpenStack, if we provide it in Red Hat OpenStack. So we have a complete common technology base between virtualization and OpenStack. That brings that if you move things to REV and you want to go to cloud, we can migrate those VMs and we can migrate those workloads fairly easy to OpenStack. And CloudForms gives you the hooks also to do that. And then we have, of course, the public cloud. I talked about Amazon, about web services. We're going to do more in that space. Rackspace is coming up, Google is coming up, so we're going to support more and more and more in that environment. Not everybody can move to public cloud. I think the main focus for the next year, next 2 years, will be getting cloud technology on-premise, integrated in your environment, and see if it works. Now, if you need help in this, or you want to talk to me about this, or whatever, please contact me. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on email, I have a phone number. Talk to me, I'm glad to come over and answer your questions if you want. But Red Hat Consulting, that's also one of the parts that really works. We have architecture workshops, for example, that we do freely. We can offer you that. That's a 2-day or 3-day session, really. Looking at where do you stand right now and how can we help you. And keep in mind that one mission statement. We're open. And that's what I wanted to say. You have any questions? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a good question. I will repeat it shortly. Question is, what about Azure in the roadmap? Are we going to support that, or what's the status about that? The thing is, it's on the roadmap. We're getting out later this month with a new release of CloudForms that will support Microsoft Hyper-V, SCVM support, and later on, not in 3.1, what is the release that's coming out, later on in a next release, it's on the roadmap, it will go for support for Azure also. Yeah. Other questions? Mm-hmm.
You see shifting from enterprise virtualization to OpenStack. They like to, it's looking like they are going to many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what happens is, I just made the remark in this sheet that The question is, by the way, what about Neutron and Rev and OpenStack? I mentioned that we have the same code base for Rev underneath for the hypervisor and what we provide underneath OpenStack. What you see now is that we have already several shared services between OpenStack and between Rev. One of those is Neutron. Neutron, which provides the networking bits towards OpenStack normally. It does that also for Rev. So what you can do is create your software-defined networking already in a Rev environment, use it and share it between OpenStack and Rev. So this is one of the steps to do a nice evolution right. Other shared services are Glance, for example, and Swift. Yeah. All right. I'm here the whole day. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day, and I hope I'll meet you all later on. Thanks.